Good morning. This meeting, including the audio and video remote participants, is being streamed live on YouTube. You will find links to viewing options for all Senate meetings on the live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website. This Zoom meeting and YouTube live stream event will include the following agendas: the 10 o'clock and 10:05 a.m. agendas of the Committee on Housing for the Senate. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to major technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business at 1 p.m. this afternoon in this room, 225, and a public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. For those participating remotely, all testifier audio will be muted and video disabled until shortly before it is your turn to testify. This time, I'd like to welcome our committee members, Vice Chair Senator Kanuha and Senators Moriwaki, Rhodes, and Hovella. So on the 10 o'clock agenda, we have two resolutions today. We have HCR 108, urging the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Corporation to combat hostile and harmful actions by profit-driven investors and aggregators participating in the state's low-income housing tax credit program. Our first testifier is HHFDC with comments, and Mutual Housing Association of Hawaii in support.
Oh, hi, good morning, Chair. Aloha. My name is Dave Nakamura, and I'm Executive Director with the Mutual Housing Association of Hawaii. We have submitted our written testimony expressing what happened to us as a local nonprofit that actually experienced this problem that's going on throughout the country. And so I, stand on our testimony and available to answer questions you might have regarding our circumstances or why we support the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Please stay tuned. We will have at least one question later. Okay. Next, we have EAH Housing in opposition, Stanford Car Development LLC in opposition, and then three individuals, Carlston Chang, Zijun Liu, and Megan Okuma in support. Is there anyone else wishing to testify on HCR 108? Okay, well, members, do you have any questions for the testifiers? Okay, can we have Mutual Housing Association back?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nakamura. So you may have seen the testimony in opposition and with comments from HHFDC, EAH, and Stanford Car Development. They believe that in 2015, these problems were solved through the QAP. You believe that that's not the case, and you believe that they are misunderstanding the point of this resolution. Could you explain a little bit further?
Yes, I can. I think some of those folks believe that what's happening here was that there was an issue in the past where there could be qualified or non-qualified contracts under the tax credit program, and there were projects where an investor came in at the end and tried to, basically buy out the projects and end the affordability. In our case, what we encountered and what is happening throughout the country are these aggressive investors are either buying into the positions or are somehow getting positions in the projects at year 15 after all the tax benefits are gotten, and essentially strong arming smaller nonprofits like us that don't have necessarily the resources to fight off their advances. And so it's essentially a game of extortion to just get us to pay off some large amounts rather than going through a protracted legal battle, which could be in the hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. And so I think that the QAP, with their discussions about the qualified contract and the QAP, are misguided. I think what we're trying to explain with this resolution and our support is that it sends a strong message throughout the country that Hawaii doesn't want them to come into our state to do these types of practices. It's a strategy used by New York State, the state of Washington, and I believe others throughout the country are now looking at it as a way to send a strong message that the community doesn't want this stuff to happen in Hawaii.
Thank you very much. Members, any further questions?
Yeah.
Senator Moriwaki?
Yes, I do. Testimony says that it's been corrected. So can you clarify what is still existing if some of the problems have been corrected? What is still outstanding and what does this resolution do?
Okay, it's sorry to get into too many details, but it is sort of a complex issue. What's happening is the IRS has language in it for tax credit deals, which allow a nonprofit to acquire the interest at year 15, which is the end of compliance period, through either a purchase option or right of first refusal. So the law was intending to have nonprofits like us that would maintain the affordability and protect the assets in perpetuity. My counterparts that are bringing up about the qualified contract issue, that's a whole separate situation. What the resolution is proposing to do is to incorporate into the QAP or the state's application process language that indicates that Hawaii does acknowledge that the right of first refusal and the purchase options are legitimate, and if we incorporate it into the scoring system within the system, it's something that we as nonprofits can go back to if there is a court case to show the judges or to show the federal courts that there is legitimacy to our contracts that we have in place to ultimately acquire the projects and maintain them as affordable as was intended by our contracts and by the IRS laws.
So are you just saying that the qualified application does not currently say if you're a nonprofit or not? What are you asking for in this resolution that everybody's opposed to? Everybody else?
I think there's a few reasons why there's opposition. One is that, and I agree with our counterparts that we don't want this resolution to cause any delays to the funding cycle in 2023 with HHFDC for projects. What I think's going on is that there are misunderstandings or misperceptions of what happened in our case and what is happening throughout the country, thinking that what is in place in the state's QAP, which is about in regards to qualified contracts, was the crux of the problem with the aggregators and bad investors. And that is not the case. What's happening to us and happened to others relates to specifically to what I said, the right of first refusal and purchase options, which are a separate issue.
So you're saying now the HHFDC does not have these protections, or they seem to say they corrected it, that they do address that problem that you're bringing up.
Yeah, I'm saying
I just want to
that
be clear what we're doing in this resolution.
what I'm saying is that there actually is misunderstandings, and they have not addressed the issue in the QAP back in 2015. So that's why I think we're trying to bring this to light. There's quite a bit of literature from other states about this matter and why they've taken on the action. So I just think that that this resolution hopefully will bring to light the problem that we would want to fix in Hawaii.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's a complex issue, but I think the testifiers are talking about two different things. So I think that there is some value to this resolution. Okay, well, let's move on. Any other questions, members? Okay, if not, let's move on to the second agenda item today.
Thank you.
Which is HCR 126 HD1, urging all state and county agencies to follow the true intent of Chapter 201H HRS and the express provisions of Section 201H-38 HRS rather than impose additional restrictions and processes to address the shortage of affordable housing in Hawaii. Our first testifier is Stanford Car Development in support, followed by three individuals, Liam Lynch, Zijun, and Carly Young in support. Is there anyone else wishing to testify in HCR 126? Okay, seeing none. That brings us to the end of the 10 a.m. agenda. Do you think we'll need to recess and discuss?
I don't know, I just had some questions on how the resolution is written. Whether we want to-
Maybe we will take a recess and we'll be back for decision making. Welcome back to the Committee on Housing. We're back for decision making on the 10 a.m. agenda with 2 resolutions. We've had some vigorous discussion in the committee, and so we will start with HCR 108. So the chair first wants to note that I think the testifiers, there was some disagreement among them, primarily because they were talking about 2 different issues. And so I wanted to note that for the committee report, we wanted to note the concerns and the reasons for the opposition of certain testifiers, but note that what the Mutual Housing Association is talking about is actually different, and that the QAP did not address the particular problem that they're talking about. Anyway, the chair's recommendation will be to pass this measure unamended because we don't want to go to conference or work on it further, but I understand that there are several other concerns that we did want to air in the committee report. So members, any discussion? Senator Moriwaki?
Yes, I will vote with reservation because I'm not sure what this means and whether the QAP does or does not address the concerns of predatory aggregators. So I would like to see that in the committee report, that we address the 2 separate issues and what this would represent.
Thank you.
Yeah, same for me. I just don't want, I'll be voting with reservation because I don't want the state agencies, I know it seems like they're talking about 2 different topics, but I don't want them thinking that we don't trust their advice, that they didn't complete what they said they completed. So I just want to, vote with reservation, just vote that, say the same thing as Senator Moriwaki. I think it's 2 different things, but I just don't want to just vote aye without having that in the notes. So thank you, Chair.
Any further questions, discussion members? Okay, if not, then again, the chair's recommendation for HCR 108 is to pass unamended. Chair votes aye.
HCR 108, chair votes aye, vice chair votes aye, Senator Moriwaki.
With reservation.
Reservation, Senator Rhodes. Aye, Senator Favela.
Reservations.
Reservations, chair, you have 5 ayes, recommendations adopted.
Thank you very much. Our second measure is HCR 126 HD1. And so again, the recommendation from the chair will be to pass this measure unamended. Members, any discussion?
I just will be voting with reservations because it seems that the second further resolved is from qualifying projects from all laws, rules, and regulations impacting development. I mean, that's very, very broad. So that's my reservation.
And why don't we note that concern in the committee report as well, so that we can express that. Any other discussion or questions, members? Okay, again, for HCR 126 HD1, the chair's recommendation is to pass this measure unamended. Chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye to pass HCR 126 unamended. Chair votes aye, vice chair votes aye, Senator Moriwaki.
Aye.
Senator Rhodes. Reservations, Senator Favela.
Reservations.
Reservations for Senator Favela, 5 ayes, chair, recommendations adopted.
Thank you. That brings us to the end of the 10 a.m. agenda, but we will have to come right back for the 10:05 decision making. All right, so we're back to do decision making on Governor's Message 774 for Roy Katsuda to the Board of Directors of the Hawaii Public Housing Authority. And the reason that we were unable to do decision making last week was because the nominee was unable to attend the hearing, and I believe he has the Zoom link and is with us today.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Katsuda, thank you very much for joining us. And we're glad you can make it. Members, do you have any questions for the nominee, for Mr. Katsuda? Okay, if not, members, Mr. Katsuda, I just wanted to repeat to you what I said to the other nominees at the hearing last week. The chair is deeply frustrated with the housing shortage that exists today in Hawaii in all 4 counties, the worst in Hawaii's history. Record housing prices in all 4 counties, 3 counties with home prices over $1.1 million. We've had 5 straight years of population decline. Now it's one of the fastest rates of population decline in the nation. In 1983, my father was able to buy a house as a UH professor. He had 1 state salary. Today, with my 1 state salary, it would take over 40 years of my entire salary to buy that same house. I believe that HPHA and HHFDC are legally responsible and morally responsible for solving this housing shortage. The Hawaii State Planning Act under HRS 226-19B states that it shall be the policy of this state to effectively accommodate the housing needs of Hawaii's people. And the agencies have missed opportunities over the years to end the housing shortage. Therefore, Mr. Katsuda, I just had 2 questions for you. First, will you commit to requiring HPHA to create plans to produce 65,000 units by 2025, 130,000 units by 2035, or however many units it will take to meet the state's demand?
I'd like to say I would be able to commit to that, but like everything else, without land and money, especially the money part, I'm not sure if we can achieve those lofty goals. Do I agree with you that there's a dire housing shortage? Absolutely. There's no question about it. As far as holding these 2 agencies responsible, I think we have to hold almost everybody responsible. If these 2 agencies missed opportunities in the past, well, I'm thinking that the respective boards and the legislature would keep them in mind. Going forward, I would be happy to commit to whatever the largest amount of affordable housing we can produce. I would be happy to commit to that.
Mr. Katsuda, I understand that implementation and actual execution of construction of tens of thousands of housing units will be a challenge. It will be a very difficult process, but that process cannot even begin without a plan. And we have no plan today. So would drafting of such a plan, is that something that you can commit to?
Yes. At the moment, I know HPHA has about 11,000, maybe 12,000 units planned and actively moving forward, well short of the 65,000 that you're looking at. And not to be more grim, but I'm not sure 65,000 would do it. I think that number might be higher. This clearly takes everybody's commitment. As far as my little part, I am committed to producing as many affordable housing units as we can for the people of Hawaii.
Thank you. Our second question, will you commit to an annual review of the executive director that will hold the executive director accountable for producing the number of housing units in the plan?
Yes, I would, to the extent that his activities are within the allowance of the board of HPHA and the state of Hawaii's laws and policies. As far as holding the executive director accountable for whatever HPHA makes its commitment, I think that's fair.
Thank you. Members, any questions?
Just a follow-on question. Sure. Thank you. Mr. Katsuda, you've been on the board for 3 years. So going back to the chair's concern about how HPHA can increase the stock to get more people into housing, and your experience on a number of boards that build affordable housing, what have you contributed in the last 3 years to HPHA to push that forward, in whether it's a plan or it's in the kinds of projects that are being developed? And where do you see the challenges are going forward?
Well, to be honest, we were having a little difficulty tracking a lot of the different projects, as well as the ongoing responsibilities of HPHA. So within the board, we did help create a tracker, and now been implemented. It's been about maybe 6 to 12 months, and it's been refined as we go along. So we have a better idea of where we are with each project: School Street project, Cohill Park Terrace, low rise, and any other things that might come up. And if we have delays because of disagreements with the developer, then that becomes very clear quite early.
So there is no tracker at this time. Is there a plan for coming up with such a
tracker?
system?
No, we do have a tracker.
Oh, so what are you saying is missing from the tracking?
Well, we didn't have one, so but this makes it better. I mean, we can not only track the development side, but also the housing management portions, and how well we're doing with existing housing that HPHA is responsible for. So the tracker has been in place 6 to 12 months, but we have made adjustments to it in the past year.
So just one last question on that. So is a tracker giving you information so that you can say we are closing in on
Oh, yes.
the plan, and you do have some kind of plan, or is there no plan and you're just doing projects as they come?
Well, we have planned. The tracker follows the projects. As far as an overall goal of 65,000 units, no, we don't have such a plan. But if that becomes a requirement, or well, not maybe requirement isn't the right word, but if that becomes something that HPHA should be looking at seriously, then yeah, that could be incorporated. But as I was saying earlier, that the money part is very important. Takes a tremendous amount of money to do 65,000 units.
But as a member of the board, you will work on something like a plan to say, these are the kind, this is how many projects we need, or this is the number of people to be served, and your tracker can give you information on meeting the target or not.
Yes, we can do that.
Thank you, Chair.
But to be honest, we haven't looked at 65,000 units. We've looked at about 12,000.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Moawaki. Any further questions for the nominee?
Yeah, Chair.
Senator Favela.
I understand you guys say you guys have some planning done. My suggestion, as you being on the board and being on a lot of boards, in Hawaii, we've been talking about affordable and lack of homes for decades, probably when I was in school. And now, as I look with different eyes, I think we need to scrap everything that we know, throw it out the window, maybe send them to the rubbish dump, because we're not going to progress that way. We need to look outside of the box. We're making subdivisions, rental units, and we're calling them affordable. Affordable today, you're affordable, sir. Senator Moawaki is affordable. Senator Chang is affordable. All of us is in a different canoe. badly in a different way. There's no way we're gonna solve the housing crisis if we continue to think the same way. We need to look at other alternatives in the sense of custom making houses for our families. Because not all families need one 3-bedroom house or a 2-bedroom house, because if you look at the people that is living on the street or not being able to afford rental units, a lot of them is couples. Not all of them has family.
Yeah.
So we gotta change the method of this affordable subdivision housing things that we have in our communities, especially mine, starting at 600 to 700,000 affordable. And the houses are getting smaller and coming more expensive because of the land. So if we're gonna get our money for a buck, we should custom make houses, even starter homes. I heard these things thrown around for years. So if Senator Drew wants to have a starter home for a small family of 3, should be accustomed to him, his affordability, and the way he built the house for him. But what we're having is developers come and say we're gonna have so much percent affordable, and then the rest gonna be mixed and fair market value. Again, we get the short end of the stick because 700,000 is not affordable in Hawaii.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We're gonna continue to have the revolving door, and nobody gonna be able to buy one home. My daughter is graduating in May 21st. She's gonna be 18 soon. She will never be able to buy a home, like Senator Chang said, unless we start thinking outside the box and customize homes to have starter homes or homes that will fit people that can actually afford it. Hold the developers to the point of making these homes. If not, don't develop in Hawaii. Leave, because we're making houses for the developers and the developers to get rich, making hundreds and hundreds of millions and probably billions of dollars that they've been here. I'm gonna give you an example. Gentry been in my community for over 30 years. They made a big money in my community, okay? They're ready to leave now. The houses they're building are way smaller than the houses they started with in Gentry's view. The houses are smaller and more expensive, 3 times the amount, maybe even 4 times when Gentry first came with Soda Creek in my community. That wasn't the vision of Gentry, but he passed away, and now board members want to make money, get every buck they can. That's the kind of developers that we need to hold to the fire when they go on TV and say, hey, we get affordable, come to Elva Beach. Never negative, it ain't. You need to tell us, these developers, I don't care how far your arm reach is, when you hold these guys to your meeting, when you have these meetings, you hold them. Say, what is affordable to you? My community is hurting. The majority of the people that is on the street in my community is couples. The ones with kids, they get all these programs and they end up in some kind of home with Section 8 or some kind of programs. What about the families that have only 2 people or a single person that probably could afford a nice studio? Gentry would not build a studio in their area because they want the buck first, people second. If they would build a mixed use inside that subdivision that they have now, we'd have a lot of single working people and couples off the street and having their own homes. But those are the things I think we need to do. Stop thinking the same way, start thinking differently, and start thinking about making more developers start off with starter homes. Because Senator Chang could buy a 2-bedroom home for a certain amount of price. In 10 years, that house value go up. He can probably move and buy something bigger when he has his family start to grow. But we're not thinking that. Frank Fossey was the only one that had the greatest idea in the world in my area. They used to call them chicken coop homes. Those homes was $30,000 or less. My sister bought her home for $22,000. You know how much the house is worth in there now? $850,000. You see what I mean? Frank Fossey had a vision to take care of the people, and he did it. If he could do it back then, why we cannot do it now? The only difference is the thinking is the same over and over. Senator Chang has a point. That's why I always support a lot of stuff that he does, because he's right. Our families need homes, not excuses. So if you can, take that back with you and work with the guys. Hey, if you want me to show up at one of your meetings, I'm glad to talk to everybody. I'll bring some trash bags so that we can show those ideas away, and let's think something new. I appreciate your time, sir. You take care. God bless, and have a good day.
If I
Thank you,
could say
Chair.
something, if I could say something, I appreciate this opportunity, and I like the idea that you're right. You gotta shake things up. Doing the same thing over the past 30, 40 years. This is my area of being in housing. I agree. We could have done more. I worked in a small nonprofit on Maui, and it took. I literally gave my life for that organization, but it took a lot of work, and I'm proud of what we did, but I think we could have done more. And am I open to other ideas? When I read about 65,000, I read about Singapore, I'm excited. Of course, then my other practical side comes in. Well, how are we going to do this? I'd like to hear more. I hear a lot of different oppositions to it. I know one thing, and you're absolutely right. We cannot do it the same way as we have done in the past. You have to certainly inject different ideas, and we got to be serious. Otherwise, there's population drain, there's brain drain, well, just drain, period. Is not going to be fixed. We're going to wind up with people that whose generations are limited. That part of the population gets smaller. So I agree to a large extent.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Senator.
it.
Any further questions for the nominee?
Thank you.
If not, are we ready to go to decision making? So for GM 774, Roy Katsuda, the chair's recommendation will be to advise and consent. Any questions or discussion? Okay, chair votes aye.
Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye, Senator Moriwaki,
Aye.
Senator Rhodes,
Aye.
Senator Favela,
Aye.
Chair 5 ayes, recommendations adopted.
Thank you very much. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.